Oh, look out now. It's the Bourbon and Banter podcast, the biggest and most honest podcast in all of bourbon. That's right, friends and neighbors. We got everything you need right here to drink curious. So sit back, grab a pour, and check your feelings at the door, because we're here to lay it down for you as only Bourbon and Banter can. Spring may have sprung in some parts of the country, but the only thing that we've seen sprung is the stop plug on the bullshit container. That's right, the bourbon bullshit we've encountered in the last month has been astronomical. So get ready for an episode that's loaded with more bourbon bullshit than the stalls at a Texas distillery. Here we go.
Damn, Bob, can you smell that?
I smell it.
You got something on your
so
shoe?
Thick. No, man, I tell you what, I don't think a chainsaw could cut through this shit.
Man, someone stepped in it.
It's so thick, so pungent. It's just everywhere, man, everywhere.
It has been a banner crop of bullshit in the last 60 days. And you know what, Bob? I have an idea. I think we're going to scrap our whole regular format today. And since we did not do a proper April Fool's, because I believe in leaving it to the amateurs for that, let them have their hours. And I think we're going to dedicate this whole episode, short of one interesting update, because I'm a fan. Outside of that one update, we're just going to bourbon bullshit it for the whole time. What do you say? You in for that?
I think that's great. I think we'll have some bourbon bullshit. We might even have some that get into the outhouse.
Woo! All right, well, let's get some updates out of the way real quick. Bourbon and Banter Slack community continues to grow. We're having a hell of a time and great fodder for what gets put into bullshit. So big props to everybody in the community for chiming in and shooting things straight and letting us know how you feel about things. If you're still interested in becoming a member of that, well, just look into the blog post featuring today's post or today's podcast, and you'll find a link to sign up there. And once again, remember, if you got a whole bunch of crotch shots and watch shots and gun shots on your Instagram page, that's cool. We're not going to let you in. We want people who are above that, right? No taters, as they say, to channel your favorite person.
If you got a bunch of closed bottles on your bar that have never been fucking opened, we don't want that shit either.
That's right. So we're watching, and it's our club. So we want you in it, but you've been warned. All right. That said, I should say, as I said earlier, the members community is the group that keeps on contributing. And we've got a really hot one today, Bob. I went back into the community threads and said, what was the biggest thing we talked about? And it was Fred Minnick's Total Wine Picks program. Now, talk about some bullshit. That smelled bad from the beginning. But we're going to push that to the end. That's going to be our final bullshit topic. So make sure you guys stick around and listen to the whole show. We got a lot of great stuff, but that one's going to be a little extra special. But we will get to that, and kudos to everybody in the community for bringing that up. A few more quick updates on our single barrel club. We got a slow start this year. My apologies to everybody in the club, but we got lots of things locked in. Four Roses is happening in May. We're picking that barrel. We're also going out to Spirits of French Lick, and we're going to crawl through their inventory to find something really, really unique and bring it to the team. Wyoming Whiskey has been confirmed, and we're actually going to take a road trip out there and pick our favorite barrel out of their inventory. That's going to be a blast, and we hope to maybe visit a few other distilleries out in Colorado, so that'll be a fun adventure later this year. We are partnering up with Ace Spirits as well, and we're going to do a Maker's Mark and Knob Creek pick later this year, probably August, September timeframe. We'll have those in, and we are also going to be locking in here shortly to go out to Penelope Bourbon out in New Jersey to their production facility to do a blended barrel pick. So we'll actually sit down, go through their inventory, blend some things, and get something you can't get anywhere else.
And I'm going to tell you that Penelope Bourbon pick, there's rumors, and I can't confirm nor deny, but the guys are going to New Jersey. New Jersey's favorite son is known to drink some bourbon. So Bruce Springsteen may or may not be an honorary team member for Bourbon and Banter for that pick. You just have to buy the bottle to figure it out.
Well, there's actually more excitement than that, Bob, around this, because one of the things that we're allowing our Patreon members is we're inviting some of them to join us on these barrel picks. So we have someone joining us in Four Roses, couple joining us for French Lick. The rest of the events will open up some slots as well. So hey, if you're not already in the Single Barrel Club, you better get in there because we give first choice to the people that have been in there the longest. So join up today. And if you've been holding off because you're like, hey, you guys haven't been able to ship to me previously because of where I live, that problem is now solved. We have a solution now. So no matter where you reside in the United States, we can get a bottle to you without too much fuss and mess. So head on over to the site and look in Single Barrel under the resources tab and sign up as soon as you can. We'll get you into the community as well. You pay to be in the Patreon group. Well, you get instant access. Well, subject to us viewing your Instagram feed, that is. So we hope you guys will join us. We got a lot of other stuff planned as well, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and did I mention that those of us going on the pick in May down to Louisville and the French Lick are going to hang out with us, and we're going to have a little party? Well, we're going to have lots of fun stuff. So don't miss out. Sign up today. Well, that's all of the Bourbon and Banter updates, Bob, but I did want to talk about this. As you know, I start every morning with a good dose of coffee, right? And I second only to bourbon, it's what keeps me powered throughout the day. So I've been a big fan and a subscriber to Black Rifle Coffee for a while now and love not only the product, but I love the humor and the kind of off-the-chain videos and stuff that they do to promote their brand. And it's also a veteran-owned business that does a tremendous amount for the veterans community. So I've been a fan for a while. So when a buddy of mine who know the owners told me that they were going to take a second foray into the whiskey community, they already have a whiskey that they put out. I was really cool to kind of learn more about it. So what I have been told is that they have partnered up with Evan Williams. So Heaven Hill, right, the parent company. Evan Williams has been running an American-made Heroes Foundation for a while, and that foundation salutes U.S. military veterans who dedicate their lives to helping others, especially fellow service members. And as a part of that, they've released limited edition bottles of Evan Williams featuring the American flag and calling out a specific hero, which is a fantastic way to raise awareness and funds for that foundation so they can give out scholarships and things of that nature. But it's really cool because Black Rifle Coffee, with their foundation and what they've done, are going to partner with them to do a twist on what they've already done in the market. So my understanding is that Black Rifle's team, being the American patriots they are, decided recently, with everything going on in Ukraine with Russia, that they were going to take a stance on the import of Russian vodka. So I'm not quite sure how they did it. I'm not even sure if it was legally done. They got into a rather large possession of a large shipment of Russian vodka before it could be distributed or dumped out from other people. And they brought that stateside, quite possibly in the dark of night, and used that to fuel some fires at a local cooperage that they've got connections at to char a series of brand new American oak barrels. So vodka fueled charred American oak barrels.
Vodka fueled char.
Right. So their way of kind of pointing the finger, giving the finger to the Russians in this situation. But what they're going to do is they're going to take these barrels in and send them to Heaven Hill, and they're going to be used to create a double-barreled expression of Evan Williams. So take a regular Evan Williams, and they're going to put them in the secondary barrels for a light secondary aging period. Probably the standard 6 to 8 months was what you normally see. And it's going to feature the American flag and quotes from the most recent collection, the most recent class, if you will, of selected American heroes as part of that foundation program. Now, the name of this hasn't been put out yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like Double Eagle or something like that, something real patriotic. But it's just kind of their fun way of doing that. But where it really gets interesting is that once those products are going to be dumped, okay, which will be sometime next year because they only have to secondary age for about 6 to 8 months, they're going to take those barrels and ship them back to Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is where it gets fun because then they're going to take those barrels and use them to age some of the coffee beans that Black Rifle roasts. All right. And then they're going to send the barrels back one more time to Heaven Hill, and they're going to do a triple cask finish of the same Evan Williams bourbon. So you've got this multiple year thing going on here. And when that triple cask gets released, that will actually have the Black Rifle Edition moniker on it. But what I think is really, really cool about this, and I've not seen this before because every brand, and I'm not going to name any names, Buffalo Trace, when they release a limited edition thing, it costs an arm and a leg, right? They're like, we're gonna help raise money for other people, but God forbid you take away from our profit, right?
But so if you can actually find it, if you can actually
that too, right? So in what I have to see as an industry first, the bottles of this are going to be sold exclusively via the American Legion and VFW posts across the country, which is pretty cool. Very cool.
There you go. Which means they're also going to be affordable.
That's right. So in fact, they're going to sell sets, and this is kind of cool. They're going to sell 375 mil of the original double cask or double barrel bourbon, right? They're going to throw in a 375 of the triple cask coffee finish Black Rifle Edition Evan Williams, and they're going to throw in a bag of the beans that came from the cask aging as well. So you're going to get 3 items, and it's going to be called the American Hero gift set, and they're going to sell it for $29.99, which supposedly covers the cost. Nothing else. Cost and a profit margin to go to fund the scholarship as well. So this is going to be fantastic. I mean, there's no word or proof or anything like that. I imagine to maximize the amount of money that are raised, it's going to be a lower proof, and it'll be subject to the influence of those barrels. But this is a very, very cool, unique thing that this brand is doing. And not only am I really cool to see 2 brands that I have a lot of respect for collaborating in this way, but knowing the folks at Black Rifle Coffee Company, they're going to put together some killer videos that is going to promote not only how they came about with this product, but how they're putting it out in market. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be super, super exciting. And I'm hoping that, they may have enough that they do a special release through the Black Rifle Company as well. If not, I'm sure they'll at least let you get the coffee through them.
When's the last time you saw the lining up outside of the VFW and the American Legion as opposed to your Total Wine?
Exactly right.
That might be, but that's good because those that will perhaps bring new business in to build up those clubs. So all good. My dad was a member of both. Grandfather was a member of both. I had a lot of time in VFWs and American Legions over the years. So, bravo.
I don't know if you ever heard this before, but I was stunned a number of years ago. I was talking to the rep for Lefroy at Whiskey in the Winter here in St. Louis. And it turns out that the number one location for selling Lefroy in the St. Louis area was a VFW post in St. Louis.
You're kidding.
No, they went through more Lefroy.
Would never guess
and
that.
he was going out the next day to do a personal tasting out there. This is a guy who's globally known, very well respected.
Which VFW was it?
I did not get that one because I'm not up on my VFW post locations, and I didn't think to ask. But he's like, yeah, you'd be surprised. He goes, and they go through a lot of it. They don't mark it up, right? It's affordable.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I would even see if I saw Lefroy at a VFW. It's like back when I used to go with my grandfather, and drinks are like $1.75, if that.
Yeah, so it's going to be truly amazing to see, and we'll share more information once we get that. But I wanted to get that out there for people to be aware of, get it on their landscape, their radar, before we descend into just sheer and utter bullshit. All right, folks, it's time for a super huge serving or dump of bourbon bullshit. I hope you're ready. Got your waders on?
I think dump is accurate here.
Well, let's start off with some high-speed bullshit, Bob. When was the last time you had some 700-mile-per-hour whiskey?
Well, there's a couple folks at various distilleries that I have been in the same room with the amount of wind that they're blowing might be close to that, but I don't know that I've had it up to 700 miles an hour.
Well, see, I thought you were going to say the last time you had whiskey with Taco Bell and it was 700 miles per hour on the exit.
Well, that's just a given.
All right. Well, in that case, I've got a treat for you. So apparently there is a distillery, the Tobacco Barn Distillery out of Maryland, who is the quote of the article says, Maryland's Tobacco Barn Distillery 700 mile per hour bourbon brings whiskey making back to its U.S. roots. So I think, Bob, on these stories, we're gonna put the link in the blog post articles. People have to go read this shit, right?
Yeah, you got to go read this bullshit.
But these guys are distilling, and they're on a mission because Maryland was making rye whiskey before bourbon became popular, right? So the whole thing about, hey, you know, bourbon is great. It's done so much for the industry, but we need to make people aware of what was going on here beforehand. And hey, that's noble. It's a story. It's real. It's not made up like Elijah Craig and his barrels of fish being toasted. So kudos for that. But they apparently do some really, really weird gimmicky things here. And this 700 mile per hour bourbon apparently is their last. So these barrels were evidently flown last year in barrels placed inside 2 external fuel tanks on a British Sea Harrier jet, a fighter that was formerly part of the Royal Navy, which raises so many questions of like...
Yeah, so it's aged on a fighter that was part of the Royal Navy, so can it even be called bourbon?
Seems like more fitting for rum, right?
Yeah, who owns the plane? I mean,
Goddamn Maryland traders. See, this is why we can't have nice things, right?
That's right.
But I want to know who's got a like spare Harrier jet for rent, because you and I could have some fun if we could get in the damn jet.
Might actually have seats that fit us.
That's right. But they flew this, and so it was exposed to 140 decibels, 3 feet away from the Rolls-Royce Pegasus jet engines. And they said, we'll see how the pressure affects the flavor creation in the barrels. All I got to say is, take that, Jeffersons, and take that, Metallica. These guys just threw the dice, and they're going big, man. Holy shit. 700 decibels?
Yeah. 140 decibels and a Rolls-Royce engine. I don't think either one of those belong in a conversation with bourbon. You know something? I'm not driving a Rolls-Royce, listening to anything at 140 decibels to get to my distillery of choice, or anything like
Well, these guys are, they're marketers, man. They are doing all sorts of weird things here, and you can read the whole article for yourself. But they've done everything from aging rum on a ship and doing kind of stuff. But I think one of the things that really, really, not only, just the concept sets off the bullshit meter, right? But they also talk about how they want to bring traditional bourbon and whiskey making things back to people's popular, to the popular, mindset of like, hey, be aware of how whiskey used to be made. I can guarantee you, Washington and those folks didn't have a fucking jet that they could strap whiskey to for aging. Unless Washington and Da Vinci got together in a former past life, what the fuck? There's nothing traditional about this.
Well, you're talking about bringing it back to the ways that it was used to be made. Poorly? Is that what we're wanting here? Rectifiers and
That's
shit
fantastic.
Like that? No. Yeah, okay. Because there's a secret or a long-standing tradition of making whiskey that nobody's touched in 400 years, and we're going to bring it back. Yeah, fuck you. Come on.
Well, not only that, but have you seen a Harrier jet? These were clearly not 53-gallon barrels of bourbon. They apparently have done a lot with small barrels. I'm sure these were small barrels as well. So once again, you can, everyone listening can click on the link and read for their own thing, but this is just clickbait stuff, getting people, they got us talking about it, so mission accomplished. Got 2 chuckleheads here talking about how stupid this is, but God forbid, it's going to sell out. It's going to make money. They're going to be hugely successful with this. And we're the ones left holding the bag of shit.
And they're also making a challenge to Woodford, because the quote from one of the folks at the distillery said there are not 200, over 300 different flavors from one single piece of American white oak. Yeah. Okay.
Well, get ready to add things like jet fuel, ball bearings,
engine grease,
colonial grief are all going to be added to the lexicon of bourbon tasting notes one day soon. So stay tuned
musket
for that,
powder.
folks. Oh, geez.
Little musket powder.
Taste
little
of
powder from the wig.
Tastes vaguely like false wooden teeth. I don't know. All right.
Maybe that's, actually, we weren't going to break it, but, I think they're working on something. They have somehow got a hold of Washington's false teeth, and they were going to extra age one of them with staves made from those false teeth. So,
well, actually, I was just going to say that's my new business idea. Is I'm going to, people release those staves that you can put into whiskey. And I was thinking about, what if we just put them in the shape of Washington's teeth and say, you too can have Washington's whiskey. In fact, I think you've got something you wanted to bitch about, artificial aging, right?
Well, you're talking about, so we've talked at length, especially recently, about the all of the various online sources for information for bourbon and how many of them are just stunningly incorrect and full of shit and know where you're getting your information from. That's why we are the most honest podcast in all of bourbon. But a friend of mine sent me a video over the last month on that there, the TikTok pops that the kids use there, the TikTok and shit, and don't stop till you drop some shit.
Yeah, I eat those Tic Tacs all the time. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So there was he sent me a TikTok video of some idiot from Oklahoma giving bourbon advice and showing how his favorite bottle was this single barrel from Barrel Bourbon, $100. But he's found a way to make it just as good for a lot less money, and he's going to show you by taking a bottle of Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, some mason jars, and some little wooden spirals that he got on Amazon for only $13.95. And by putting the little wooden staves in the mason jars with the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, letting it age for a couple weeks, just as good as that single barrel bourbon. So he is broken the mold. He's unveiled the secret to getting a $100 bottle for only $15 and change. Kiss my ass. Are you fucking kidding? Now, first of all, it's fucking stupid. I mean, just the whole base of the thing is stupid. But I can actually tell you, because a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, has done this research, this exact type of research, using 10 different types of wood, aging Jim Beam white label in with these. And the guy even mentioned that he liked the Evan Williams Bottle and Bond over to Jim Beam.
Oh, because it was smoother. That was the
smoother.
incredibly descriptive term.
Smoother.
Yeah. Right.
Smoother, yeah. So, that automatically, if somebody tells me, why do you like it? Well, it's smooth. That's an automatic disqualification. That's not, what does that say? Smooth? Was it smooth going in, coming out? Who knows? But my buddy Matt did this with 10 different kinds of wood, and it was interesting to see how it affected him, but not one of them made any of that bourbon a $100 bottle, single barrel, from anybody. It was an interesting thing to see. Some of it totally ruined it. Some of it made it say, it's okay. It's interesting. None of it, I don't even think, doubled the quality of the bourbon that was in it. It was good. It wasn't bad, but Jim Beam, the white label's not bad. It's not a bad thing to start with,
It's made to be consistent. That's what you can say about it. But let me just a couple things here, because I'm with you. I mean, it's always entertaining to watch somebody tell you that they've come up with the next best thing, like Cleveland whiskey and all that. We know where we stand on that. But I mean, Evan Williams, and I think he's the Bottled and Bond version, didn't he?
Yeah.
Solid whiskey, right? Respect the bottom shelf. Solid whiskey. Nothing wrong with it.
My thought was, why are you fucking up a bottle of Evan Williams Bottled and Bond?
And let's talk about barrel craft spirits. I'm a fan. I like what they do. They're able to take 1 + 1 and equal 3 in many occasions. I'm not sure it's always worth $100. So it's questionable if it's really $100 bottle. And once again, we have to remember that price and value are constructs, right? So he's saying it tastes just as good. That's his subjective opinion, right? So maybe he did do it. But the point being here is that the authoritative stance and position that a lot of people go out there and do. So I'm all for experimentation, but I can tell you one thing right now. I will spend my $13, $15 on a bottle of Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, and there is no damn reason I need to stick a piece of wood in it and wait 4 weeks to drink it. And you know what? If your biggest concern in this life is trying to find a cheaper alternative to a $100 bottle of bourbon, you need to listen to our podcast. You need to read our website because there's a lot of alternatives that don't require waiting 4 weeks. That is for damn sure. So, Bob, we're only smarter than the next guy. Just remember that.
And barrel mingles all of their whiskey. As Pops was saying, 1 + 1 = 3. We can pretty much determine where those whiskeys came from. And I bet you can find some whiskeys that are similar to what they're putting in there for a lot less than $100. And perhaps you go that route and start mingling your own things based upon a little bit more thought than going on Amazon and buying some wood spirals that you're going to put in mason jars and change the world of whiskey.
Right. So just to wrap this up, folks, so you understand, wood spirals bad, Washington's wooden teeth spiral replacements good. We'll have those on the website here in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to move us along because there's a lot of bullshit and sometimes you get stuck and you got to move along. So I'm going to push you into this one. And the only thing that could have made this one better is if the product came from Norland. In fact, I'm surprised it hasn't come from Norland, right?
I was actually wondering that exact thing. When I saw this, I was like, they must have partnered up with fucking Norland.
Right. So this is, I'm going to tee it up and then you're going to swing away, Bob. This is the Flaviar Infinity Bottle. Take it away, Bob.
I have had a problem with Flaviar for some time now. And even before I get to the Infinity Bottle, because the line that on our run of show here says Flaviar Infinity Bottle and general douchiness. So I am constantly barraged with these fucking ads from Flaviar talking about, discover the world of whiskey, and we give you the whiskey that you will not find in 99% of the stores and bars. And what is it? It's Jefferson's Ocean or Jefferson's Regular shit or Whistle Pig or some shit like that. So you won't find it in 99% of the stores or bars unless you go into 99% of the stores or bars. And this particular product is a $350 bottle, decanter, if you will. And they're describing this as the most unique spirit in the universe to serve a gorgeous, high-quality vessel with an eye-catching design. It's a fucking decanter, folks. All right? It's a decanter.
It's a big fucking decanter. Did you see the size of this thing? Huge.
It's a fucking decanter. You can go buy one at Things Remembered and put your own initials on it. Say FU. Mine says FUF. Fuck you, Flaviar. So, the top of it is cool looking, and it better fucking be for $350. But then you get the mother of infinity, which is a 375 milliliter bottle comprised of 100 whiskeys.
100 whiskeys.
Now, there's a likelihood that you're not familiar with any of these 100 whiskeys. And if you think that this has got some Wild Turkey and Four Roses and Jim Beam, Knob Creek, Woodford, Buffalo Trace, Makers, Heaven Hill, Elijah Craig, any of that, you'd be fucking wrong because none of that shit's in here. This is all, first of all, I automatically knew it was bullshit when I clicked on it and I see a bunch of Texas whiskeys in here, Pop. So that automatically told me that I don't want to fucking start with this shit.
Well, hold on. We'll go a little further here, just real quick here, because I thought this was fascinating, the 100 whiskeys, and because you can't be trusted to create your own infinity bottle to start with. So they're going to help you. And so it's comprised of 31.13% Scotch single malts, 16.72% bourbon. Right there, I'm kind of like, okay, this is weird. But yeah, it's got all the products that they have been able to get a hold of between their agreements. And when I see a project like this, I'm just telling you, I know enough about flavor that they sign deals with these distilleries to buy their products at a discount in order to promote them in their clubs and their sales. When I see a product like this, it screams fire sale to me. It's like, hey, we got all this booze we're sitting on. We're going to do something with it. And they're like, hey, let's mix all these whiskeys together and sell them off. How's that profitable?
You mentioned Scotch, single malt Scotch, bourbon. It's got 11% Irish whiskey, 6.7% rye, a couple other things, and then 21.12%, 21.12% whiskey from the rest of the world.
Yes, things such as Mars EY 45, which sounds Japanese. We've got...
no, it's not, because they've got Japanese whiskey in there at like 1.1%.
We have
so it's not. We have no idea where the fuck it's from.
Merrymaker Gingerbread Stout.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds like a fucking beer.
Well, it does, but, how about Dimensions 2002 and M&H Elements? These things should be screaming off the shelf, right? No. Anyway, please continue. I looked at this list and I was just like, okay, so, all right, keep going. If this is your jam, this is your jam.
You become a master blender.
You forgot about the booklet. Talk about the booklet that you get.
I haven't gotten to the booklet yet. It comes with a personalizable. Is that even a fucking word? A personalizable booklet. Not a personal booklet, a personalizable booklet. With helpful knowledge, history, tips and tricks, and an infinity diary. Helping you properly kickstart your ultimate DIY project and keep your recipes safe. Because you know that once these recipes get in there, everybody's going to be after them. So thank goodness you've got your booklet from Flaviar to keep your recipes safe.
So I'm going to save everybody a hell of a lot of money. Let me start. So first of all, there's going to be a link in our site that's going to take you to this if you're intrigued to learn more. And I'll be straightforward. I'm probably going to put an affiliate link on it. So if you want to buy one, we're going to make some money because we ran out of donuts. But that's a different story. But I'm going to save you some money. Just get yourself an empty bottle. Okay? Next time you finish a bottle of Four Roses single barrel, that's a nice shape. I like that one, right? Empty it out. Rinse it out, God forbid. If you want, even peel the label off. Whatever you want to do. If you got a decanter, that's cool too. And if you want to make an infinity bottle, that's cool. Pour a little whiskey in, write it on a piece of paper, take a photo, put a note. No booklet necessary. And enjoy as it fills up and share it with your family and friends, and you will save yourself $350. And you can thank Bob and Pops for this great wisdom and insight, because that's what we're here for.
And Pops was talking about the size of this decanter. It's not that big. It's just a standard fucking decanter.
Oh, no, it's bigger than that, isn't it?
It looked like a 750 to me.
No, it's bigger than that. It's, no, I got to point this out now. It is since I brought it up, right, I got to substantiate this. Hold on, where's the details here? Because when I read it, I was kind of taken aback by the size of it here. It is 1.6 liters.
1.6 liters. So it's almost a 175.
Yeah. It's a massive decanter for your massive infinity collection
thing. So, because, you and your buddy can lift it together to pour out the fucking drinks once you've got the thing full. 1.75. Get it. Just go get yourself 2 fucking decanters. Get them, 2 for 50 or 2 for 60, whatever the hell you want. I tell you, you're talking about a decanter that's cool. You can get those fucking Star Wars Stormtrooper decanters a hell of a lot better. But like you say, I've got a whole freaking bar full of decanters. They're called bottles.
Right.
The end.
Absolutely.
So, it's, come on. But, we're not the market.
Hey.
Anybody who's actually has any real understanding of whiskey or any appreciation and who is somewhat of a connoisseur, if you want to say, or just really enjoys it, that's not who Flaviar is going after. They're going after the people who are, onto the new hippest shit and trying to be cool with a bunch of fucking friends and whatever. Just look at the goddamn ads that you see everywhere.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of people who are easily influenced by ads, we're going to revisit one of my favorite topics now, and that is the whole wonderful world of spirit competitions.
Good God, there are more of them. Fuck.
Dude, I was going to think, after my tirade last week, our last episode on the Ascot Awards, and they're opening up to allow people to submit their single barrel selections. Quite frankly, I'm surprised I didn't get taken out by an assassin. But there's 2 new spirit competitions.
They may be on the way, Pops.
That's right. That's if emails are any indication, absolutely. 2 new spirit competitions. The first off, dare I say the least offensive of the 2, is the Tales of the Cocktail is the preeminent industry event in the world of spirits. It's held in New Orleans every year. And it's really a great event, great organization, really doing a lot to promote bartenders and the people working in the spirits industry. And, you know, once again, I have no problem with that, but they've launched the New Orleans Spirit Competition as part of the overall Tales of the Cocktail Foundation. And it says, and I'm going to read this from the site, the New Orleans Spirit Competition is a judging to determine the best spirits being produced today, craft brands as well as legacy brands. Presented by the Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, each spirit is tasted blind by a panel of industry experts without identification to ensure integrity and secrecy. The judging panels will include preeminent craft bartenders, distillers, spirit journalists, and others with decades experience in the industry. Awards will be presented during Tales of the Cocktail, the largest and most prestigious event for serious bartenders worldwide. First of all, that last sentence. So where do the funny bartenders go? Key West? I mean, Jamaica?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
maybe.
I digress. But, okay, so there is nothing in this list that makes this unique, right? Blind by a panel of industry experts without identification. All right, so the industry experts can be above reproach, right? Nobody can be influencing them. Well, if the tasting is blind, what does it matter, right? And preeminent craft bartenders, distillers, spirit journalists, and others. The others kill me. Hey, Bob, you and I could get a job. We wouldn't take it, but we get a job.
There is no way any spirits competition is calling you or me.
No. Well, we've made it clear.
After all the shit that we've said, they're not calling us.
I had an organization reach out to me about a spirits competition, which is the next one we're going to talk about. And I let her know that I said, well, I appreciate you reaching out, but personally, I don't believe in spirits competition. So I'm not the one to reach out to. Anyway, so here's another competition. And once again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, so I apologize, listeners. We understand the role that these work. It's a badge you can put on your bottle, and if you're making a brand, it's great to get accolades. But seriously, people, come on. How is this better? Why? The only reason there was not a need for this. The only reason this was created is money. There are plenty of competitions out there that, if you believe in them, accomplish it. They check the box of providing credibility for your product. This is not another one. But it gets worse, Bob. It gets truly worse because we are now reaching the specialized subcategories of spirit competition. Okay.
Yeah. And this one, I got to make sure. Yes, I did take my blood pressure medicine this morning. Yes.
All right. So this is the Millennial Wine, Beer, and Spirits Competition. Creating the
Millennial is not a brand name here.
No.
Folks.
Their phrase is creating the ultimate environment for new millennial beverage connoisseurs.
Hold on. How can you be a connoisseur and be new at something?
I cried when I went to the website. I started to watch this video on their homepage. There's a line that says, empowering millennials to learn about and become wine and spirits connoisseurs. And I have no problem empowering. In fact, we do a ton of virtual tastings, a ton of education, and have some things planned in space. I think empowering people is fantastic. But there's this video that says how to buy millennial-friendly wine. And it's this video with all these millennials, from bartenders to whatever. And they're like, oh, and apparently I'm a judge now too. Oh my God.
Millennial friendly? Now we have millennial friendly beverages?
There's nothing.
Are these you know what I think that is, Pops? I think that's actually, those are beverages that actually stay at an optimum temperature when kept in your parents' basement. I think that's what they are.
That's funny. But the beverage, whether you're a millennial or you're a Gen X or you're a boomer, when you buy it, it's the same fucking beverage. Holy crap. Millennial friendly wines. What does it have? What does it have? A screw top, or does it come with an adult supervisor to unscrew it for you? Does it look like a Capri Sun, a juice box? I mean, come on, we've already got that. This is the biggest line of bullshit with the spirits. I mean, this is giving Ascot Awards a run for their fucking money.
So the thing that killed me is I'm looking at the competition process graphic that they've got. Your product plus social influencers equals your product everywhere.
Well, why didn't you say so? At least they're being upfront. You're not really buying awards, you're buying promotion. Hey, and it's a deal. Entry fees are only $110. What, Minix $350, $450, something like that at Ascot Awards?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I mean, this is crazy. And let's see. Oh, but they require 3 757 bottles. I think Ascot only requires 2 bottles. I guess millennials are thirsty, or they they spill more. But with the sippy cups, you didn't think that'd be a problem.
Well, but you got to look at, so they got the judges are listed here, and there's a bunch of there are several.
It's the most attractive lineup of judges I've ever seen.
No, wait, yeah, no, I don't know any of these fucking people. I don't know who these fucking people are.
Dude, but
that's not. I mean, we're not saying, yes. Obviously, Pops and I are not millennials.
No,
I'm 47 going on 90, but you'd think that in the industry that we're in, that no matter the age, we'd be aware of the influencers in it, and none of the millennial influencers we know are in here. So
no, but I tell you what, though, I am definitely taking some hairstyling points from that Saeed Hawkhouse, because that guy's shit is on point.
Obviously he can make that work, man. So good for him. It just reminds me I got to get my shoes shined tomorrow.
Well, this is beyond me. I can't comprehend this. And
I just want to know what millennial favoring beverages are. What was the term that they said?
Millennial friendly.
Millennial friendly.
I think this is one that I think I can actually answer, Bob. I think it's any spirit that is smooth.
Okay.
I see the crowd missed the benefit of your chuckle. You pull back from the mic for safety purposes.
I pulled back from the mic because I just.
All right, dear listeners, you've experienced the first time Bob has ever pulled out.
Jesus. Oh.
Safe podcasting for everyone. Tips, and oh my God. Okay, so you guys, please, dear our beloved millennial bourbon lovers who know the real deal, I really want to hear from you. So check out this website and come back to me, podcast@bourbonbanter.com, and tell me, are we just cranky old men? Have we become those guys? Because if so, that money that we're going to make off the affiliate sales of the Infinity Bottle, we'll buy some lawn chairs. And we'll post a photo of Bob and I sitting out on the front lawn.
There you go.
We get enough people saying that we're just being cranky and this is legitimate and this is absolutely overdue and has to be there. Fuck yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that for you. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And we do have millennials that listen to us. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do. But I didn't think anything could give the Ascots a run for their money. But once again, I woke up to find that the world is worse off than I thought.
Well, yeah, they said, you think you've heard it all. You just fucking wait a couple weeks, Pops.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
You better take another drink before you start this segment.
Oh man, I'm killing my bottle of Green River here, man. It's gone. The good news is I got 3 bottles arriving this week. I got a buddy of mine that's muled some up for me. So I'll be down on those here quickly. So, all right, let me try to pull out of the wasteland of millennialism. Holy shit. You know what?
Well, then you bring up this picture and you equally want to throw up.
Oh my God. Well, I tell you what, man, I really think we could make money if Bourbon and Banter launched the most honest bourbon spirits competition. And we just said, send us $50. Don't send us any booze. We'll send you a medal. We'll send you a sticker, a gold star.
Gold star.
I know I can get a good deal on gold stars, right? I can get an educational discount because my wife was a teacher. We get a lot of gold stars. We'll mail it to people on a professionally printed certificate on like 110 brightness paper. How about that for $50? We'll hook you up, people. Just let us know. Hey, tell you what, just let us know what you need and we'll give you an award for it. Podcast at bourbonbanter.com. We got you covered. Except for you, Slapdick. You're not wanted.
Now, I want to preface this next piece just briefly with a story that, just the overall thought that most of us in the Bourbon and Banter community have. And the reason that you hear so many people who are big into whiskey avoid shopping at a specific store because their salespeople are known for pushing their direct products to anyone who comes in to ask about something. They're not going to give you a Wild Turkey product or Four Roses product. They're going to push theirs. And so we always say, I'm just not even fucking dealing with it because nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about.
And that store's initials are Total Wine.
That's correct.
This podcast episode is brought to you at our good friends at Total Wine. Total Wine, all the bourbon you could ever want, as long as it's ours. All right, Bob. So tell me more. What are we talking about here exactly?
So you're talking about Total Wine has Weller. As far as the eye can see, same thing, but it's in a different bottle. But it's just as good. It's better than all these other ones. You want a wheated bourbon? I got it right here for you. It's called Two Fingers or Two Stars or whatever the fuck it's called.
One Finger. That's the industry
name.
One
Finger, yeah. One Finger.
That's the insider's name is One Finger Bourbon.
Well, the reason it's called Two Star, it was initially called Two Fingers. It was one on each hand, see? So that's how that came about. But if you go in, and I've talked about wanting to do this for years.
Hold on. Let's just tell you how it's screwed. I've known about this brand, but who the fuck names a bourbon 2 stars? In this review-laden industry where 5 stars means excellence. I mean,
5-star burgers, fantastic.
Who does 2 stars? I mean, I'm just getting, like, if it's an huge inside joke, that's amazing. If they really know. But anyway, I digress. But I can't believe someone is like, you know what? Well, let's call it 1 star because it's number 1. No. People never believe that. But 2 star? That's gold. I'm sorry.
I tell you, man.
I'm going to keep drinking. Keep continuing.
So you go into a Total Wine. Pops and I have talked about this. I've wanted to do this for years. Is get somebody with a good camera to follow me in to just see if I ask the right questions, what the employees will actually recommend, and just watch them go to this fucking Spirits Direct shit. And what we say by that is, this is stuff that is exclusively distilled, exclusive brands for them, exclusive barrels for them. I know some of you are in markets where that's the only place you can go to get stuff. We get that. Most of us don't shop there. I purposely don't shop there because I remember calling out a guy who was recommending something to a customer one time, and I said, yeah, that's bullshit. And I took whatever I had in my cart and I walked out and left. And that was the last time I was ever in there. I put it back on the shelf and I left. Fuck them. But I say all that to say that the folks who are recommending the Spirits Direct shit, we automatically know they're towing a company line, don't necessarily know what the fuck they're talking about. And then about 4 weeks ago, we saw something that we really could not believe.
It was shocking, to say the least. We got a press release that Ascot competition founder Fred Minnick, all-around bourbon bon vivant, has got a line of Fred Minnick's picks available exclusively at your local Total Wine. And so I immediately clicked through the link, like the glutton for punishment that I am, and found a website where it has a Fred's cartoon avatar present
character.
Let's call it an avatar. It sounds very professional on the page. And it says, there's a couple of quotes. It says, doesn't have a flaw, just banger. See for yourself what Fred Minnick, America's leading bourbon expert, had to say about bourbons he blind tasted. So let's just set this right. So what it appears, and once again, I haven't spoken to Fred about this yet. I imagine the phone call's coming soon, but he has some videos on some of these products. And when you go to the page, there's a list of Spirit Direct products, and like Whistle Pig, because clearly they're trying to clear their inventory of Whistle Pig since they cornered the market. That's another podcast. But there's some videos where Fred is giving all these products blind, and they ask him on camera to talk about them. And he does that. These are not, from what I can ascertain, barrels that he's picked. So when it says picks, it's not a private pick, okay? These are things that Total Wine has secured from other distilleries and sources, private labeled them, and getting Fred to taste them and give his opinion, and then it goes on a page. Now, I have not shared this with Bob yet, so this is going to be classic, old school radio gold here. But I went to Total Wine today. I went down my little Total Wine, and my goal was to pick up some minis of these products to taste them, because I thought, hey, if I'm going to go on the radio and talk about this on the bullshit segment, I should probably at least taste some of this stuff, right? So I went down, and there's a great end cap display of Fred and his picks. Not a single bourbon of his picks was there, but I have seen photos from other stores that was there. So I inquired, it's like, hey, do you have any mini bottles of these products? They did not. But the woman said, but if you want to, you can go to the tasting bar and try some. So she called a gentleman over and said he'd like to taste some of this stuff. And he walks up to the bar and he says, I'll go get some, but the first thing you need to know about this is he was clearly paid to do this. End quote.
That's what the employee told you?
That's what the employee told me.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not even in that store 5 minutes, and he's like, just so you know, he was clearly paid for this. He has no idea who I am or anything, right? And he's like, but I'll go get them for you. And he comes back with 2 bottles. And the first one that I tried was First Call Kentucky Straight Bourbon. And according to the website, it boasts vanilla and butterscotch aromas. That's original. Hints of dark fruit and light oak. The complex whiskey offers a sweet and warm finish, creating the perfect julep cocktail nightcap or toast. I like my toast Texas style with butter and jam myself, which is interesting because the guy said, well, then I think this one has a little bit of strawberry in it, is what he's told me. Well, there's something medicinal about it, more like cough syrup, so maybe he's not too far off. I don't know if this is the one where Fred said there's not a flaw in it, but he did say that in one of the bourbons.
That is the one.
I cannot detect any flaws. Now, just for
this bourbon doesn't have a flaw in it.
Just so everybody knows, that is a sneaky way for someone to tell you that your bourbon is good without telling you that your bourbon is good, because a flaw is something you detect out of the distillation, right? It's like, is it flawed? Did they make the cuts of the whiskey wrong, right? Is there something off? Was the grain moldy, right? It doesn't mean the whiskey tastes good, all right? So if someone tells you there's no flaws in this bourbon, that's not, because flavor and taste is subjective, all right? So Fred did a classic backhand here and said, I detect no flaws in this. He didn't say this is the best damn thing I've ever tasted. And at $42.99 a bottle, $42.99 for a 1.75. So it's going to be relatively cheap, but this one I tasted, this is a hard pass. It's thin. It's got a weird medicinal cough syrup finish on it. And when the guy told me that it's best served in a cocktail, just say no. Now, the next one that they gave me, and this is where things got confusing for me, because he gave me one called Special Release Wolcott. And I've looked it up, and Wolcott doesn't appear on the list of what is under Fred's picks. So I'm a little confused. And Wolcott is a private brand that they've been carrying for about a year and a half, at least the guy said. That one is actually distilled by Barton. at the Barton 1792 distillery. And that one was very soft. It's 80 proof. I told someone that it almost tasted fluffy, if that can be a thing. Once again, I'm not a professional taster, but it felt very drying and kind of light and a little candy-ish. It was much sweeter than I like my bourbon. And Barton, we all know, is a great distillery, right? They make some great stuff, but clearly this is a profile that they're not going to put out on their own, so they're making it for Total Wine, appealing to a mass sort of unsophisticated palate. But they're selling that for like $40, I think. So I don't know. I went down, tried these things.
$55 for a 175.
For Wolcott? Okay. The guys, I really hope Fred made a lot of money. And the issue was, the reason this is what the community thread of the month was, because as we did this, right, there's part of us who make a living in the spirits industry want to applaud the fact that Fred got a deal with Total Wine. He's making money off of this, right? But at the same point in time, you look at what he's promoting. And when you factor in that he is one of the most visible bourbon experts in the industry, he writes about bourbon, he does all these things, and then he has a spirits competition, whether I like it or not. Now he's promoting products. Suddenly this whole thing of, being a independent, non-biased judge goes out the window. And if it was for a series of private barrels that he had picked or something like that, I'd be much more comfortable with it. But I really question the move here. I mean, money motivates us all, but this seems like a really odd move for me. And I think in the community thread, a lot of people, there was a concern of a lot of people dropped in their level of respect for what he says, because he's shilling these things as his picks. And I don't know how much control he had over how this got presented, but no pun intended. It's really left a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, he's doing his public events now, going around and doing blind bourbon tastings. Wonder if any of these are going to be in those bourbons. You think any of this shit's going to be in the stuff that he hands out to people? I don't know that it's sponsored by Total Wine or not, but I'm betting if it's not, it won't be.
No, he showed up in a room. They gave him a whole bunch of whiskey. He recorded tasting it, gave permission to put his name on it. And they presented as Fred Minnick's picks, which, once again, he agreed to this deal, but these are not bourbons that he would pick out as his favorites to drink. These are merely bourbons they put in front of him. He commented about them, and maybe the pick is he picked the best 5 or 6 out of 50 he was given. I don't know.
But if you go to the bottom of the page on Total Wine's website of Fred Minnick picks, you find Old Forester 100 Proof, Wild Turkey 101, Knob Creek, and Evan Williams Bottle and Bond, and Elijah Craig small batch.
Oh, well, there's that. Redeems
those 5 will redeem everything above them.
Right, but that's, once again, why is that there? Once again, this is clearly, it's brilliant for Total Wine as a marketer, getting Fred, who's the most visible bourbon influencer out there, to endorse their products. It's great. But I guarantee you there's not a single person who's been drinking bourbon for a handful of years who follows anything that fell for this.
I will tell you, though, if Pops and I are in a room with Fred, I guarantee you we are the most visible bourbon folks in that room.
We're definitely the biggest names.
That's what I said. You're going to see us long before you see Fred. Trust me.
So I'm curious, dear listeners, does shit like this make you want to buy a bourbon? Right? If Fred Minnick is large and in charge on an end cap and he says, these are my picks, would you buy a bottle because of that? I'm really always keen to say, who does this influence? It's clearly going to influence somebody. Otherwise Total Wine wouldn't invest in it. Right. But who does it influence? It's one thing to get George Clooney to have a celebrity, tequila, whether you like the tequila or not, whether it's legitimate based on connoisseur's perspective. George Clooney's going to sell a lot of bourbon, right? He's a movie star. It's totally different. He's not a booze expert. But when you're bringing in someone who has a good reputation by and large for knowing his stuff, and he then puts his name on something like this, what does that mean? Does that make you trust him more, trust him less? Does it even make a difference to your purchasing and buying behaviors? So if you have an opinion, please drop us a note, podcast@bourbonbanter.com, and give me some details. Tell me what you think. Tell me where you're at in your bourbon journey. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. What do you normally drink? And if you bought one of these, what do you feel? I mean, we want the honesty because we're obviously very opinionated if you haven't picked up on it yet after what is episode 24.
24.
But I really want to know. And these are the types of conversations that we like and thrive on in the Slack community, right? Not just Fred, but anything. We want people to really get in and dig into it. And we have things that plenty of people have disagreed with my position or Bob's or others. And that's what's great about it, is having that constructive decision without calling each other assholes. That's the important part. True. Right?
Yeah, the people. Yes, there have been a number of people that disagree with Pops. The ones that disagree with me, they were never heard from again. But that's neither here nor there. So we do want to hear. I don't think this is influencing anybody that's a regular bourbon drinker. That's my thought on this. This is influencing somebody who's like, oh yeah, hey, I want to try bourbon. Let's do a party with some. Insert bourbon cocktail here because my cocktails contain a glass and bourbon. That's it. So I don't fucking know. But that's who I'm thinking the market is on this. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so I was just scrolling, and I'm going to read you a description here. This is like the bonus content here. Kings Creek, 9-year-old Tennessee sour mash whiskey. Smells like mulch, a vitamin C packet, or a Flintstone gummy. Goes down this tart orange juice direction. Somewhat sweet and fruity, easy drinking. We all know where that whiskey came from, right? Because of the Flintstone thing. That's clearly sourced from Dickel. It's a 9-year at $34. So from a $9 to $34, sounds like a good deal. And he gave it an expert rating of 91 out of 100. I don't know if that's him or a collaborative review thing. But I'm sorry. Would you buy a whiskey that says smells like mulch? A vitamin C packet or Flintstone gummy?
No. Why would you?
So maybe he's having the last laugh after all. I don't know. Or how about this one? First Call Kentucky Rye. Some savory herbs, and in particular oregano and cannabis, grassy herbal and mint notes, some big spice to it as well. Salt and pepper, really good. Cannabis?
Really? I actually, no, that I remember seeing that because that's what Fred put up about his family's Thanksgiving dinner last year. So he just copied the quote right over there. I remember seeing that. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Smells like being at a baseball game with my pops. Don't use my name. I didn't give approval for that. And opening up some Cracker Jacks. You guys got to check these out.
Well, here's the thing. This is like it's like the booking agent that tells you that, that artist has got a sound and style that's uniquely all their own. That's not necessarily a good thing. All right. So that's how you get away with saying something without saying something. So perhaps he did get the last laugh, the last ask.
Well, if the check cleared, he's definitely got a laugh, right? But it's kind of like Bob when you go and you go, somebody gives you the whiskey. What do you think about my whiskey? And you're like, oh, this is very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, we nobody likes to hurt anybody's feelings, and it's tough giving feedback to people when you don't like their whiskey.
I challenge that. We do it all the time, Pops. That's what this whole fucking thing is based upon. We're in the bourbon bullshit section of the podcast. Well, that's the whole point of the whole thing.
Yes, but bullshit is about not necessarily about the whiskey itself. It's about what you say about the whiskey and how you promote it and whatnot, right? We do the craft shoot, and we're honest about it. But, it's about the whiskey particular. It's not about everything else. So anyway, someone's got to be a critic. That's all I got to say. And once again, I'm not making whiskey because I know I can't make shit. But if you're making whiskey, folks, just remember, be honest, be transparent, and continually strive to be better. That's all we ask for. We have a lot of people in our community, a lot of people aligned with our way of thinking. And you got to remember, you've got one reputation as an individual and as a whiskey maker, as an influencer. And you got to choose how you use that for good. Because once you ruin it, you're never going to get back. And I think that's really critically important. And for us, we're always going to call it like we see it. You know, we don't do it to be mean-spirited, but at the end of the day, you know, our opinions are just one of many. Ours just happen to be more accurate than most.
That's right. We don't have opinions, folks. We have facts.
That's right. Because we are the most honest
and biggest
podcast in all of bourbon. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this exceptionally smelly bourbon bullshit laden edition of the Bourbon and Banter podcast. It's been a lot of fun to dig in some of this stuff. Bob and I have been, you know, terribly busy with our individual lives and things going on. And we've got a lot of cool things from the Bourbon and Banter family that will be coming out here in the next 60 days or so. Not to put any pressure on myself to get those things launched, but so we apologize for being a little slow getting this episode out, but we hope you enjoyed it and made up with it with some of our unique brand of entertainment. But remember, if you have feedback, good or bad, send it to podcast@bourbonbanter.com. We read each and every email, and we burn the ones we don't like. So, hey, you could get that, and maybe we'll send you out a certificate that we burned your email. If you want to be in the Slack community, let us know. If you want to be in the Single Barrel group, well, it's on the website. We'll put all the pertinent links into the post promoting this episode of the podcast, as well as all the topics from Bourbon and Bullshit. So once again, on behalf of everyone at Bourbon and Banter and Bob, thank you so much. And remember, folks, if you are going to drink,
drink curious.
Well, what's your preference?
Bourbon, if you got it.
Bourbon from Kentucky.
I should certainly fucking hope so.